a best-of-3 series, so teams really do have a bit of a chance here. We see Consulate and Club banned out by Beast Coast, and the Europeans are going to ban out Cafe and Oregon. Oregon, I think, a smart move after getting smacked 7-0 on it yesterday.
Yeah, I think it's pretty sensible from ITB, and also because, you know, Oregon also being a very standard map, you don't really want to play Oregon in a best-of-3. It's very even ground in a best-of-1, but in a best-of-3, you don't want to necessarily play even ground, especially as one of your picks. Maybe the decider, but yeah, after that 7-0 yesterday, not really. And these two picks, I think, make perfect sense. ITB, they like Bank. They haven't played it a lot, but from what I understand, it's a decently good preference map for them. Nighthaven Labs, it is the map that really started Beast Coast run, the bounce back from a really abysmal start to the stage. They got a very perplexing, to be fair, win over the Sonics, who looked completely lost on that particular game day. But then it was this map that they have then played. They beat CAG on as well earlier in the tournament. So I think these picks make sense from both teams. It's maps they like.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, for Beast Coast, I actually have Nighthaven Labs as one of their best maps. They're currently on a 4-game win streak on it. They absolutely love this map. They beat M80 on it previously as well, which is quite a big scalp to take, not to mention CAG, a comfortable 7-3 win over them yesterday. ITB, though, Bank, I have this as their favorite map by preference in terms of it's the least banned map they have this year. However, they have actually lost it more than they've won it. Yeah, so it has been a bit of a mixed result, but most recently in the EU League, they did defeat Team Secret 7-5. Obviously, Secret's already qualified for main stage, so a pretty big team to take down there.
And also, the other team they lost to, G2 on Bank, it's one of G2's best maps until the FearX took it away from them in Phase 1, which... unlucky, I guess. But we do have Nighthaven coming up, which, as I mentioned, is not only a very solid map for Beast Coast, very high preference. They also have a really strong win over a very big-name team, the Sonics in the North America League, 7-3 over CAG earlier. And Beast Coast, this is a very, very good territory, a bit of territory for them to start out their run. In the phase game yesterday, one of the big players we saw was Gavini, able to hop in, and even if the roam clear wasn't solid, get huge individual plays. And on this map, when they played it against CAG earlier in the tournament, he was given a lot of leeway to find gaps, make plays if he wanted to, while still melding into Hot and Cold's overall system.
Very much. Well, it's time to dig into the first map in this elimination best-of-3 here at the Manchester Major. It's a classic, North America versus Europe. Only one can continue and an attempt to fight for a spot on the main stage this coming weekend. Nighthaven Labs, it's Beast Coast's map pick. It's one of their favorites. ITB need to bounce back after losing it just a few days ago to Bleed in a close 7-5. Let's dig into this ban phase as it's just flown by us quite quickly. Carter, that Monty being banned out very early on from ITB. They don't want to let Beast Coast keep that in play.
It's the easiest bit of prep work I imagine Kangaroo Kenny and the support staff have had to do all week. Beast Coast, I mentioned various components of that run to end up winning the NAL. You know, the start with that victory, I think 7-1 or so against the Sonics on Nighthaven. Another big component was putting Hot and Cold on that Monty, going for these set Monty-based plants and executes on basically almost every map they've played, Cafe and to Nighthaven in some cases, all over the pool. And in this case, you don't want to give Beast Coast that same tool. But I also think at this point, the Beast Coast squad are going to be expecting this. They know how prevalent their reputation as a Monty team is, and not only will they expect the ban, but they also imagine they'll be putting in the work to avoid it. In particular on this map, they didn't really play a whole lot of Monty, and they still beat CAG 7-3 with some really solid plant-based executes as well. So I'm pretty sure Beast Coast will be ready for that. They've also repeated their ban phase basically from that CAG game, so no surprises for anybody, I think.
10 seconds left before insertion.
So we start off on this top floor. ITV getting the side choice. They'll go defense. Quite comfortable for them. And yeah, I'm not too blown away by anything here. I think the Azami is going to have a huge impact in this game, particularly for holding on to positions like where Azur is at the moment on the rafters. Yeah, there's no one that really can replace Azami.
No, and the only thing that can somewhat substitute for that is putting a mirror on that single panel you see right behind Azur, but nothing can allow you to directly hold it. You just hold it indirectly, contest it with a black mirror, maybe a castle as well, but it's the Azami that allows you to actually play there and hold the control. And if you have a bandit, as we see Noah sitting in front of the IT breach right now, can also go for those bandit tricks, but he's only got one in pocket, and I didn't see the actual wall electrified, so I think he's mainly, has those on the connector breach instead. Could go for the bandit trick if he wanted it. Oh! Big bit of a rookie mistake right there. Places the hard breach charge in the middle of the wall, which means Noah can just walk over, place it wherever he wants, and detonate it. But then again, the time of those charges is so long, he could have probably got it.
Yeah, it's not so easy to get away with that these days against a bandit. I mean, there's so many ways you can counter a bandit, but we're going to end up going with the Maverick here from Hot and Cold. Maverick, you got to be careful these days. And as we see Hot and Cold dancing back and forth, he knows full well he's very vulnerable to those C4s. Thankfully for him, not too aggressive from ITB.
Well, not too aggressive for ITB. beastcoast actually running back, I'm almost certain the exact same strategy they did with this second floor bomb site. And if it is, what they did was they mav'd open that front wall, then they mav'd open the connector wall, then will likely open a line in the actual connector wall separating the site, and then Selma open and try to go for a plant around the pillar position. Maybe they'll change things up, of course, with the Deimos and the Grim. They've got a lot of abilities to find intel, vertically or horizontally, so they have a lineup with those two big operators.
There's Aroma.
Wow, okay, that's... All right, talking about intel, I guess Creeds has been unread in the basement for the whole round.
Yeah, funnily enough, he was right about to use that death mark with Spirits, so it's not going to end up having any success whatsoever. We won't get any information based on that. Really good start for ITB. Beast Coast are starting to slow down a little bit, and unfortunately for them, it is going to go from bad to worse. Hot and Cold looking for some form of an entry, but he might be able to find something here. No, it's just him all alone, and he goes down to Noah. ITB firing up very early on with a very solid defense to kick it off on Nighthaven.
A very solid defense indeed, and I think putting Creeds down below in the basement really quite smart. Of course, you are kind of betting that he's not going to get droned, and if he does, you're in a bit of a problematic position, but like I mentioned, Beast Coast were going for a very similar attack to what they did against CAG just a couple days ago. Spirits going down below with the Deimos, everyone focusing around the connector side, so maybe they've seen that once they get in that position, the intel's a little lacking, they're not actively watching flank drones, and they allow Creeds to put himself in that position, walk up, get the opening pick. And then also ITB just shutting them down once they actually try to flood into the site. If mechanical skill was an issue against M80 yesterday, they won the round based off of that very thing.
Yeah. It just feels like Beast Coast stalled out a little bit. ITB didn't have to do anything too crazy, too complicated. Just wait, be ready to receive. Easy as pie for them. Good stuff. And now for Beast Coast, I hope that they've gotten over whatever jitters might have been in that round, because they didn't really look like themselves there, Carter. They really didn't.
No, they definitely looked, I would say, a little slow, but then again, Beast Coast, when they are going for these clears, they can be a bit slow sometimes. I think the big difference was we would see somebody step up in the phase game yesterday when they were struggling to acquire control to brute force it for them. Gavini, like I mentioned, was one of those players, and when the Monty's in the cards, Hot and Cold on the Monty will often be the guy to do that, but we didn't really see anybody from Beast Coast step up and try to break that stalemate or find a pick somewhere else. They had Spirits down below. I imagine that was the intention, but after that, unfortunately, everyone was pretty much shut down after that. So we'll see if anybody is able to kind of bail Beast Coast out if they end up stalling out similarly. At the start, at least, it's just going to be a normal utility clear, but Oscar catching Gavini very much off guard. ITB not eager to let Beast Coast get any control for free.
These walls are proving to be very difficult for Beast Coast to deal with. That's 2 rounds in a row we've seen some form of a contest from ITB when it comes to that hard breach game. However, Roam Clear seemingly quite effective. And they've taken good control of Kitchen and starting to put this pressure towards the Exo stairs. Funnily enough, where the first kill in this series came on out. Still not a full Roam Clear. Players around Garage. As this hatch can quite handily be opened up. Spirit has a very solid position as well. Oh, he spots the player as well. This is the easiest cutoff. This should be a free kill. Kenny's got to go down here. He should not be allowed to survive.
No, and Spirit's also aware of the possibility he could potentially rotate up X-Up. We got 3 people on this Goyo problem. Yeah, if you thought Kenny was dead before, he is not making it out of this one. Gunner will rip the head off of that Goyo. You've got a 5v3. We've opened up the Exo position. Beast Coast like to go for this plant as well, right down at the bottom of Exo stairs, but look at Creed's on the hunt. Are Beast Coast ready for this too?
A bomb has been located.
Yeah, flank could always spell disaster for Beast Coast. After getting a 2-player advantage, they really need to convert this round. Looks like a rotation coming out from Diffuser here, as the rest of the team is seemingly shaping up around Exo.
One thing to note as well, by the way, Azur's got vertical holes on the exact plant spot Beast Coast want to go for. So if they commit to this execute and not clear him, this could be the end of the round.
Oh, wow. I quite like that as well. Vulcan canister attached to the castle barricade. Diffuser has found his pick on Azur now. That was the guy that you were saying should be the one to deny the plant in the late round. Creeds has rotated over to that position and might be able to fill the role. But realistically, ITB are very short on players. Beast Coast have a 3-player advantage, and that just gets further now, all up to Creeds. The only chance he has is to try and deny the plant. He has been read and dispatched with perfect from Beast Coast, and are really firing up. 1 round into the game, they're very happy about that win.
You can see how heavy the counter strats from ITB are. Beast Coast went for that same execute, go down through the bottom of EXO, plant inside of assembly, right on inside of that single doorway. And what do we have? Vertical holes on it with Azure watching from Cargo, a castle barricade on it with a Vulcan pack on the opposite side once Beast Coast detonate it. So very good prep work from ITB, but we see the proactivity from Beast Coast. Not only do they have that 5v3, Kenny just unfortunately, even though the hatch is open, maybe caught on a timing, already committing to the play bottom XO. He's basically a dead man and has to go 1-for-1 at a minimum, but given the opening pick, it's still a very difficult position. But then Beast Coast have a minute 40, minute 30 seconds, and they don't waste it. They realize Azur's up there, they rotate around, they take him down, they have control of that position. Well played gunfighting in those opening picks, but also good reactions to ITB's counter strats.
Yeah, really solid. I'm excited, Carter. I think we're in for a good game. I've seen good stuff from both teams now.
It's like the best start imaginable. It's like, wow, we've had a good defense with good ideas, a good attack with good reactions. Hopefully it's not a stop one way or the other.
Well, to be honest, like after that first round, I was like, oh, is this really Beast Coast's map? They didn't look fantastic. They got caught off by roams. They didn't have a lot of teeth moving in the bomb site. But that second round was totally different. Like, so proactive, so full of ideas. Even when initially it looked like the breach was not looking too hot for them. Great map control, great late round pivots, good conversion of their early advantage. I want to see more of that.
I certainly do as well. I also hope we see a bit more of this Deimos. I feel like Deimos is kind of all or nothing with teams. Some teams just don't want to play him at all, and then it feels like some teams have 4 Deimos players, right? Like, Liquid's a good example. Everyone except Lagonis will pick that operator. And right now, Spirits loves him, Diffuser picking him up as well. I imagine it's mainly Spirits who wants to play those or use those Deathmark trackers at times, but I want to see some good usage out of this operator, especially if we're going to have Creeds maybe solo roaming on multiple of these bomb sites. That'll be a key operator to hunt him down, which I imagine is probably one more reason Beast Coast feel compelled to bring him, is just to try and hunt down that Valkyrie, see where Creeds is. He's definitely one of the best fraggers on ITV, so getting control or intel in his position would be very, very helpful.
What was this from Cavini? Very early.
Hello.
Oh, beautiful. Not enough damage done, but he does find the second one.
He didn't even mean to kill him.
Dangerous peek from Creeds. Looking to try and protect Noah. Ironically, Noah gets away with his life, but Creeds does not. Beautiful start there from Cavini. Not sure how much information he had, but that explosive use of the skeleton key nets Beast Coast an early advantage.
There's even good coordination. Look at Hot and Cold immediately taking control of Garage as Gavini backs off to make sure nobody retakes it. Only problematic thing is that is the man with the diffuser, so they get intel on his position. He's pretty easily pre-fireable prone in that spot. We throw to Candela, back off a little bit. Now Gavini now pushing into the IT breach. This has been a really solid clear, really well coordinated by Beast Coast. If they want to go for a cargo plant, they've got control of the immediate verticality. They just need to hollow out the site and make sure that nobody pushes first floor in Garage, and they could very well get a plant here, especially with this advantage.
Well, still players upstairs to worry about. Hot and Cold does take down Oscar, which makes things a little bit easier. And the plant is indeed going to go down. ITB showing very little resistance here. Kenny's going to go big, but he is shut down. Good angle from Spirits. All up to Noah, 1v5. May as well hang up the mouse and keyboard at this point, mate. I don't think there is a look in. Azami spotted by Deimos. Diffuser is on the hunt, on a vendetta, and yeah, this is round done and dusted. Beast Coast might have lost the first round, but ever since then, they have looked untouchable. ITB really struggling on these defenses. Yeah, Noah's just going to get toyed with here. They're not even going to overpeak him. Come on, finish him off. There we go. Beautiful work from Beast Coast. They are really firing up.
Basically a flawless round as well. 1v5 where Noah got that kill.
Holy who is that?
That's a that's Fettuccine R6 on TikTok.
It was?
Well, I assume it was Fett.
I was just looking on the cameras to see, but we didn't happen to see it.
This is the matchup of loud coaches. Both Fett and Kenny love to get really loud, hype their team. Fett does a bit more trash talking, I'll say, than Kenny does. Kenny's exclusively focused on hyping up the boys.
Did you see the post on Twitter the other day that Kangaroo Kenny made where it was like
Kenny
intimidation tactic and he was eating a banana in front of M80 and then he got 7-0'd by him? I think he'll have to look a little bit deeper into the strat book for this game.
I think Noodle clapped back. He's like, I think you'll need to find something more effective next time.
Yeah.
But that was just a really solid game plan from Beast Coast. They say, okay, we want to go for a cargo plant, so what is the minimum amount of control you need? IT, so you deny the vertical angles, Garage, so you deny the retake, and then somebody to actually hold the vert and hold the IT breach to make sure nobody takes that control away from you. And that's exactly what Beast Coast got, and not an inch more. Really good identification, good initiative from Gavini and Hot and Cold on that Garage clear. Nothing to complain about in these past 2 Beast Coast rounds from them.
5 seconds to insertion.
Now we got the blitz and the ying.
Damn.
I'm
As
honestly,
if they didn't need any more ideas.
I genuinely cannot believe Spirits has let another human being pick blitz. He's been the blitz guy on his team since like Challenger League.
Yeah, well, he gets the ying, which is not too upsetting. Damn, if Kenny had prepped this door, he would have been able to go for a cheeky run out there.
They were not ready for it.
No, they really weren't. ITB are the ones I'm worried about here. Yeah, it's Beast Coast bringing this crazy lineup, Blitz, Ying, Deimos, Grim, like all these very impressive operators, but ITB are the ones who have been behind. I want to see them get a little bit more active.
Well, something I forgot to mention, actually, you know, ITB did play Bleed early on. You and I casted this game. It was on this map, and the defense was their better side, went up 4-2.
Yeah.
It was their attacks that were the big issue, and they've had time to work on it. I imagine, you know, Kenny probably figured Nighthaven was a pretty high potential map for them to go to in this series, so we'll see if they've worked on it. But to not replicate that same success in your defense against Bleed, who, I mean, they were 2-0 yesterday and only now 2-1 because they lost to the world champs and went 8-7. They're not exactly a bad team, so not seeing them replicate the same success is a little concerning. They could always bounce back, and whereas we saw a lot of great progress from Beast Coast last round, we're still waiting to see them this time.
Just to say, double down on your point about ITB maybe not looking too hot off the trot, is that this is a defender-sided map, so 55% defense rate on the major so far. They start on the defensive side. You expect a lot more out of them than what we've seen thus far, and it's concerning to see. Interesting push early from top blue for Spirits, but kept at bay by the gas babe. Hot and cold's position about to be revealed. They know exactly where he is. You need more than just one push here for Beast Coast. He's going to have to walk through a hallway of death, and you can see that ITB are very ready for it.
They're very ready for it, but we've still got a minute 17 seconds, but now we're starting to face some problems. Again, this Deimos dies down below when attacking the second floor. Spirits has used so much of his utility. He's got to get around these Kibas. This is going to be a tough one.
It is going from bad to worse here for the attacking side. Beast Coast fall to pieces, and Spirits the last to fall. Finally, a moment of reprieve here for ITB as they get back on that horse. They find their second defense round quite convincingly at that.
Quite convincingly indeed, and I think one of the changes that makes that a little more difficult is, I mentioned how if a zombie's not in the cards, you have to bring a Mira really to even hold Garage indirectly. Well, we see the addition of the Azami and the Mira this time, and what they've done is, okay, half the round's gone, we have these Kiba barricades set up, they haven't really cleared it that much, and they're pushing Aqua. Let's back off, let's focus on that side, and guess what? When you place that Kiba on top of the rafters that you saw Spirits hit, they can't hop in that window and immediately walk forward. They either have to break it or go prone, as he said, and that heavily delayed the execute, while the Aqua players were all tripling up on the two-man push on that side. It was 2 Aqua, I believe 2 IT, and maybe 1 trying to push Connector, maybe 3 Aqua. Either way, ITB had the privilege because of that setup to heavily focus their resources over on the Aqua side, deal damage there because the Garage push inherently, based on the utility, was going to be stalled out.
10 seconds left before.
Would you like to hear something interesting, Carter?
I'm a big fun fact guy,
5 seconds to go.
so it better be fun.
Every round so far, the team that has won the opening pick has converted that to a round, and that's not too unusual, right? We always say there's a lot of import on these opening kills. Into the Bridge is the worst opening kill team in the entire tournament.
In terms of getting them or converting them?
In terms of getting the opening kills. 33%. That's only 10 of the 40 opening kills that they've had. 10 of the 30. Yeah, it's 10 out of 30. Yes, 10 out of 30. Pardon me while I bear with my maths.
You know what's ironic about that?
What is?
It was kind of, I mean, not like inherently the opposite, but Secret in the EUL were the worst entry team, and they've been a lot better about it this stage, and they've qualified to promotions off of it. So it's funny that ITB have, well, it's not funny, it's actually sad for them that they've unfortunately kind of taken that mantle away from Secret as a really poor entry team, but 2-2 right now, and at least so far, I think, you know, finding that Deimos down below consistently on that second floor is going to be a bit of a problem. But I mentioned the counter strats earlier. Beast Coast also went for this Osa plan in their game against CAG, so we'll see what they have prepped for this.
We got C4s and 1 impact from Azza on the board when it does come to that Osa eventually coming on through. We've seen a lot of contests of the Maverick with those C4s, but I think here it's probably wiser for Oscar to keep that in pocket for a little bit longer. I think he's still playing very cheekily close to the breach and will likely die if he does that. He does indeed. That was quite unfortunate for Oscar. He's the only player with a C4, the best player to try and deny the plan with the eventual Osa shields coming on through, and he loses his life and loses his opportunity onto Gavini as well.
Oh, look at this drone in sight. Watching the
he's
retake
cooked,
from
mate.
Goyle. This is so Jover.
Kenny's dead.
Again, he's found out in a really awkward position, this time with really good intel. They're not going to kill him. Instead, hot
Swing him.
Rotating
Swing him.
back over.
Oh, there's third they got to worry about. There's a player above. Interesting to see how cautious Beast Coast are being here.
And also the change. Look at this from ITB. Oh, I like this. Rotating immediately over to Animus. Good call. Oh, but now they have to sledge open the castle.
It's all right. Kenny, again, in a really cheeky position. This is so strange. ITB, they're relying on all of these cheeky risk-making plays, and I don't have a lot of faith in it. I mean, there is a possibility here that Kenny, if undroned, no,
never
he's
mind.
taken down by spirits quite easily. Like, that's the problem. Incredibly high-risk plays here from ITB, and they are still a player down. Beast Coast have got quite a lot of good control. There's a player above, there's a player on a backstab, and Azza is the main player here from ITB to have an impact, but he has been taken down.
Oh,
good work from Gunner above. And that really puts the pressure onto these two remaining players from ITB, neither of which are on the site. Noah must look for a retake here as Creeds makes his way towards Exo. Noah's going to drop on down, but this is a very ambitious rotate outside. They know where he is. He doesn't win that fight. He doesn't lose it either. He gets away with his life, but he is now trapped. His position revealed. There's players above him. The Sharks are circling. I don't think there's much chance here for Noah, but hang on.
All right.
Very nice shot. The breath taken out of Spirit's lungs. 24 seconds to get through the site. Find these two last players and get onto that diffuser. Creed's taken down. Gavini springs up, takes his head clean off. A good trade from Noah again. There is time to make this work, but Gunner is above, and all he's got to do is wait. Noah doesn't have a chance. Beast Coast firing up here on Nighthaven.
So I've identified that it's Fett doing the majority of the yelling.
I can see that.
Look at the discipline from Beast Coast there. They are sitting outside of that breach the entire time. They're like, we are going for an OSA plate. We're dedicated to it. And they're constantly moving back and forth, clearing util, getting intel, moving into assembly, moving into Animus. I will say sometimes that dogmatic focus on an execute can really cost a team, but Beast Coast were constantly making steps on either bomb site to progress, be it taking down Oscar on that breach, dealing with the vertical in or on top of assembly with Gunner rotating up above an IT, or on the Animus side, taking the time to check that prone angle that Kenny was holding, destroying the castle barricade. I really like ITV's setup, with the castles, with the Goyos to stop either of those default breach executes, but Beast Coast have been very diligent in dealing with it on either side now.
Yeah, I'm going to be real, Carlo. This is very scary for ITB. They're down 3-2 on their defensive side. I don't think they've got much chance here. And they, ironically, had a better showing than Beast Coast recently on this map. I would have expected that ITB would have a lot more to show on Nighthaven than what we're seeing today.
And to build up off your point, I mean, it's not been the same internationally, but Beast Coast were the strongest defense team in the NAL during the regular stage. I've mentioned this a couple times already on different games, but they would literally go 1-5 on their attacking side and then come back, win 6 rounds in a row, 4-2, win 5 defenses in a row. It is unequivocally the better side. At the major, it's more 50-50, but it's only been a few best of ones. This is the first best of 3 Beast Coast have played, and that's going to happen sometimes.
And if I can build off that as well, Carter, ITB, in the last 2 times that they have played Nighthaven, they've had a 75% defensive win rate. That's really good, right? Only 33% on attack. So they're already on defense. They're already struggling to go 50-50 against Beast Coast. Moving into the second half, I think that ITB is going to struggle to even find a round.
It could very well be the case. You're also right now not having an immense performance out of Creeds. I talked to Kangaroo Kenny at the beginning of the event. I believe one thing he said was we've kind of got 2 big players. Azer's really good on the attacking side entries, but Creeds is our guy on the defense, right? Both right now obviously struggling. Azer 1 and 5 has died every round. Creeds having some impact, but really not that much in the grand scheme of things overall. It's really been Noah on this defensive side, one of the most improved players inside of the EU League, especially on this ITB squad. One of the really only remnants from that TT9 roster a year ago now. He really is showing up, but not necessarily in the most impactful way. Could still find a 3-3 here, but they know about Noah's position. He tries to go for the swing, but the Azami, her position is very much known in Garage, but Beast Coast haven't made a whole lot of progress yet. In fact, Noah is trying to deny this control, but Spirits has cut down 1, and Gavini with a second. Beast Coast with another 5v3 lead.
I'm very scared for ITB. They have not shown up today. Kenny's going to go down, and he quite swiftly finished off. Oscar's been revealed. He's been hunted as is on for a flank, but I think Beast Coast can be pretty chill here. All they have to do is hold on to the ground that they've got, just suppress any potential flanks. Diffuser's got that read to perfection. A whole minute to go. Oscar in a 1v5. Beast Coast have been incredibly disciplined in this game. Oscar might have some info and find the first, but the second will not come. Mate, it is only the first map.
He's got to get him hype.
It is only the first map, Fettuccine, my friends.
He's got to get them excited, Dev.
Well,
it's a best of 3.
He's slurping up ITV at the moment. Beast Coast. This is what we've been waiting for, right? This is the team that almost beat FaZe Clan yesterday.
Could have beat them 7-3, might I add.
Yeah, well, it ended up a 7-8 loss.
Still impressive.
Yeah,
if it had just been that would have been
especially
impressive.
against one of the tournament favorites, against the world finalists just back in Brazil in February. Beast Coast, what a glow up they've had, man. Like, it's insane. I was a doubter. I was a hater. I'm be real. I see this team. They've just got a whole bunch of good players, but not a lot of time to work with. Yeah, they're champions at NAL, but like, it's just an online league. It's not going to translate to LAN. Here we go, mate. They are the real deal.
And I think, honestly, one big reason why I think Beast Coast have started synergizing very well is Hot and Cold is stepping into the mantle with this roster as the primary caller. You know, he's worked with, Canadian on previous rosters. He's worked with, on SSG. Call out, that's his system. It's not Hot and Cold system, but Hot and Cold especially are working together to create this roster and meld the visions and the players together. But Hot and Cold does have that experience on SSG that allows for a lot of playmaking and flexibility. I mean, Crank is synonymous with SSG, which is just a synonym for playmaking. Wow. And that makes sense why Gavini has freedom. Gunnar has freedom to go for individual plays that end up helping that overall vision. And now on the defensive side, this is Beast Coast's better side for a reason. They had a really good structure against FaZe yesterday, trading out, holding positions, playing together without overstepping their bounds when they actually get aggressive and try to contest control against the attacking side. They walked that line very well on Skyscraper yesterday.
So, Carter, the best similarities between Beast Coast and Space Station. Sorry, where are SSG at the moment? Are they still in the tournament? Oh,
only All-American squad. Like, did you have
to
do
that? Are you trying to hit the problem?
Do that?
I think you might have identified the problem.
I was just uncalled for. I can't even fight back. Blister 2-1.
Well, if you like American teams, here we go. Beast Coast is looking very hot at the moment. Yeah, they might not be quite all American, but I think that you could certainly claim the for American players are just Spirit's lonely Canadian. I'm sure that he's happy to join the NA bandwagon for this one. And what a game it's been so far. Moving on to defense, this is where we expected ITB to struggle, and they're going to be playing from 2 rounds of deficit, so they really need to fire up now. Very few second chances.
Yeah, Beast Coast going with the heavy breach denial strat. They like to run on Nighthaven, Cade, Tuberal, Bandage. Just what an annoying lineup. And the Azami and Garage. Like,
yeah, but Mavericks and Thatcher's in. Like, you got the options.
You do, but you even still have the Tuberal right there that can Zoto canister off the different walls.
Oh, he's dead. What? No, apparently Kenny's dead. I thought that Gavini was dead to rights, but Kenny was caught with a Candela in his hand. And Gavini's very confident. Good swing from Hot and Cold, but ill-advised perhaps. Good trade, though. Seemingly everybody on Beast Coast is ready for these pushes, for these refrag attempts by ITB. A nice little bit of explosivity from the attack, and Creeds will double down again. 2v2, and maybe back into the realm of possibility. Bandit once again revealed. That's Gunnar. Ooh. He's here on the side. They know exactly where he is. He is essentially trapped. But he's landed a kill from this position already. 2.0 KD in the game thus far.
Where's Diffuser?
The player or the guy? Diffuser is here, coming in from the other side, and he has a great crossfire as well to play with his teammate of Gunnar. Interesting, the Tuberal does block the death mark. He protects his position from being revealed. Very cheeky play, very quick think of this one. And ITB have slowed down, they have stalled out! And Beast Coast! Oh, the storm is brewing for Beast Coast today!
The rookie is a genius. Look at the quick thinking on that man. They find Gunnar's position. He is trapped there because Creeds is holding it. They need that bit of intel on Diffuser's position to win that 2v2. Drops the Zoto right as the Deathmark gets there. Breaks it immediately so it's not constantly there, maybe slowing him down. Such good thinking right there. And then Gunnar wins the fight with Creeds on top of it. How does he outgun him when Creeds knows the bandit is behind the bomb chassis? And that doesn't even start on the exact point I made. Beast Coast trading was really good against FaZe yesterday, and there it is there. Gavini able to get ahead of the Candela, swing Kenju, who I think disrespecting that window a little too much, getting a bit careless with the utility in his hand, not playing it safe, like we saw Spirits do.
You know who you're versing right now. Like, these Beast Coast guys are not afraid of just cranking off, just peeking. You hear the energy out of Fett. You can't disrespect a window like that.
No, you can't. And Beast Coast punished him for it, as they should, and then traded that advantage down, as they should. ITB, at least we knew the vision, but still struggling on the attack.
Look, they managed to get it close, to their credit. They managed to get it very, very close. They were not afraid of just sending it. Once they saw an opportunity, they just refragged out Rafters and looked better for it.
Now we'll see on the next round, going down to the basement. ITB trying to go for, I would assume, you know, the Maverick on the bottom of the wall, smoke it, look through the glass.
Right, like this is, well, there's no Warden at least, to their credit, but you got 2 Nitro cells, you've got a mirror window to watch the position, you've got 6 bloody impact grenades to deal with that blitz, even with the impact nerf. Even the Goyo here, like as the wall is breached, the detonation of that Vulcan canister impedes their way. Like there's just such a good setup from Beast Coast to repel this exact kind of push. And it makes me wonder, did ITB make the call to go for this push before they knew what setup they'd be dealing with? Because in a way, unbeknownst to Beast Coast, they actually have the perfect setup to deal with a push like this from ITB.
Well, to be fair, and I do agree, based on how everyone was positioned around that wall, I think they were setting up there just in case this setup wasn't good at countering ITB strat. But now they can still rotate and play this very well. They've cracked the mirror window, and they can rotate and maybe go for that, you know, plant down Exo stairs, but still have Noah on the breach, throw that smoke in the late round, and cut off and hold the rotation. This is still very much a setup that can be applicable to that take. You send the blitz down Exo stairs for the control, you clear out the vertical angles, maybe have Azur or Creeds up there now that he's used all of his utility, then with Noah on the breach, as I mentioned earlier. So there's still a very, very possible execute here, but nope, Kenny's actually at the breach, so what do I know?
He wants to go make this play work, but still C4s are up. Spirits nowhere to be seen, but it doesn't matter because Gunnar is there for the long angle.
What?
And ITB have fallen flat once again. Thankfully, Noah does claim something with the glass through the smoke, but it might not be enough. Creeds doesn't have that diffuser as of yet, but he's gotten up into that plant spot. He has to cross no man's land to get towards that diffuser, and Noah doesn't have the smokes to support him. He has one in pocket, but he's going to have to decide when to use that. It looks like ITB is second-guessing themselves once again. That diffuser is still cold on the ground, and they haven't grabbed it yet.
As you said, though, they use so much utility. They don't have any flashes to try to take down Gavini. It'll just be a raw 1v1. That smoke could be great, but he tries disrespecting the window. Beast Coast have the winning setup, and Gavini's winning the fights.
Big one from Gav. ITB, here we go. Through the vertical lines. Good work from Noah. It's winnable once again, but there is another player above, and there are so many angles he's got to worry about. Creeds is not in a position to come and support. Looks to contest, he drops on down. Barricades will reveal his position as he takes them down, but Noah can look to get aggressive now. Bearing in hand, doesn't check the angle in Exo. Hot and Cold punishes him. Creed's in a 1v2 now. The stave off match point, but Spirits fires up. Beast Coast continuing their form. ITB cannot keep up.
Cannot keep up, unfortunately, can't read either. We see them go for that execute, go for the front side take, and I say, okay, they've cracked the mirror at least. What's the vertical looking like? Well, they never got it. They were waiting for Gavini to retake the angle, but that means without that vertical control, Gunnar can still play the mirror. He can't, sure, look through it, but he can back up, hold that long angle, and because Kenny went right instead of left, he went right outside of the smoke, Gunnar can just see him for free. Gavini still is protecting his vertical control. Gunnar's not concerned about pushing it. And sure, it might end up baiting the trade, baiting the kill, but the diffuser's now dropped inside of the site. You've got to rotate. Gavini's still got the vertical angles. You've used all your utility and haven't got a plant off of it, haven't got site control off of it. I see the game plans from ITV, but there's gaps. They're not clearing everything. They're disrespecting certain positions that need to be accounted for, and the attacks are not still looking as weak as they were in that bleed game. ITB, I'm not very convinced of their Nighthaven at all.
And just looking back through history as well, Carter, I'm wondering, why did these guys leave this map in? It's arguably Beast Coast's best map. And Into the Breach, historically, you've only banned it more recently. Like, it was banned against them for a very long time. They let it through against Bleed, were punished for it, losing 5-7. This game has not even been as close as that one. And this could be quite a momentum shifter as well. Like, obviously, Bank is a pretty solid map for ITB, despite some mixed results, but is their favorite one. They need to fire up a little bit here before we move there.
Well, and the issue also to talk about Bank is Beast Coast have only played it once this stage and lost it, but it was in the first 3 play days, and the reason that's key, Spirits, in an interview after they started winning, came out publicly and said, in those first 3 days, we had no strats. We did not know how the team was going to play.
They lost only by 1 round, 7-8 against Wildcard, so it was a very solid game from them regardless.
And so when we see this Bank, sure, you could go back and look at that previously, but Beast Coast have probably changed it completely because that was effectively a different team than the team ITB are playing right now. So just because it's ITB's pick, they're likely going to see a brand new Beast Coast on map 2, and that comfort will need to override it. And 4 rounds, ideally, would be good to override this map pick from Beast Coast. They're looking so strong right now. We see an initial deathmark tracker used, no really control gained off of it, 5 drones remaining for ITB as well, nothing gained from that either. They've still got all this utility, but Beast Coast set up unpunctured at the moment.
Yeah, very little progress has been made by ITB here. They got information on that roamer below, but didn't actually commit to taking that control. So Beast Coast continue rotating. A little bit of pressure here on this top floor. Of course, you need to take top floor. You need to put some pressure on these roamers above before you can execute onto that cargo storage site. Here's some info for Kenny, but I believe the mute jammer is going to actually protect that defender from getting spotted. I believe that's what I saw occur there. And look at these mirror windows. Look at the Azami's Kiba barriers. Like, there's very little to do here. ITB look to get desperate. Creeds might have something to work with. Noah does find the opener. Good trade, though, from Gunner. He's holding on to this position. Kenny in IT, but doesn't land the shots needed. He's actually feeling some pressure from down below. A couple of straight bullets. Spirits looks to get active with the shotgun. Worried about someone outside IT, but he's got the audio. He's got the read, and he goes for the swing, but he loses that fight. Good read from Kenny. Audio versus audio, now going for a quick shoulder peek, looking for more. ITB might have brought this back into the realm of possibility.
That's a bad call from Spirits right there. You're so exposed when you go through that barricade. With one final deathmark tracker, ITB could get this 3v2.
Gunner's the one on site. He has to hold down the fort, hot and cold as well. With one player above for Beast Coast, but Gunner continues to deliver. Noah's gone down. Kenny is desperate, and Beast Coast cruise by on the first map. A 7-2 is exactly what the doctor ordered. Listen to that energy. Fettuccine is ready to stay alive here in Manchester.
5 opening duels won in a row, by the way, for Beast Coast to end out that map. You talked about ITB being the worst entry team, 10 out of 30 engagements total. Yeah, it just got a whole heck of a lot worse after that game. Beast Coast controlled the pace in the early round, traded it into the middle, and converted it by the end on attack and defense. ITB didn't solve their woes from Nighthaven, and unfortunately, looked worse on their defenses this go-around too. And Bank might be a favorite, but they're going to get a brand new Beast Coast they can't prepare for on map 2.
Very much so. Beast Coast looking very solid here thus far at the Major. While they did lose their opening game to DZ, it was a domestic matchup. You can't put too much stake in it.
It's DZ too.
Yeah, and they lost a phase, but hey, it was by 1 round.
Could have won 7-3. Just want to say that again.
They didn't, but it was lost to the eventual SI finalists earlier this year and one of the tournament favorites. Like, this is, I think, one of Beast Coast's best chances at really building confidence. Like, they beat CAG, but I think that now they're looking at a European team, the second best team in Europe. It's very much a different caliber of roster. And this win, this big international win under their belt, is exactly what Beast Coast need to get the momentum to move towards a appearance on the main stage. But ITB, the Brits, on their last legs, on the verge of elimination, they will need to bounce back. Next map is Bank. Quite a dominant first map for the Americans as they take it 7-2 over the homeboys. And everyone in Manchester on the weekend want to be cheering for a British team. But of course, ITB are on the verge of elimination. One map stands between them and taking the very short trip back home.
And unfortunately, if you are a big British fan, I believe your next best option is M80 after that for British teams who have Citizen who's British and Noodle who's half British.
And that's an NA team. So.
Yeah, and it's an NA team. So
that's seriously the next best British roster. That is a shame.
I had a conversation with Jesse about it. I'm pretty sure that is right. So you're really hoping that ITB can bounce back on this map and the next map, as keep in mind, this is for elimination from the Manchester Major. So one more map loss suffered by ITB will see them very early exits, though not the first EU team to be eliminated, to be fair, from the Manchester Major. They'll be the second, joining G2, but the first to be eliminated in Phase 2. Let's talk about the stats in front of us. Of course, everyone on beastcoast having a positive game. 2 dropping double digits with 11 kills, but everyone having an impact in some shape or form.
Yeah, and when I have a look at that entry kill stat, we talked a lot about how ITB are currently the worst entry team in the league, in the competition, only finding 2 entry kills in that entire 9-round game. And of course, that was the 2 rounds that they won. And it goes to show how impactful those opening kills can be. Clearly something is going very wrong with ITB. The only times they found opening kills, it was on their defense, and it was really just by an attacker walking into a room and not really knowing where one of those defenders were. When it comes to having to get active, having to get proactive and put yourself in the building, make plays, it was all Beast Coast.
It was absolutely all Beast Coast. And something we actually haven't really highlighted all that much is Beast Coast are the most plant-focused team at the Major. They've planted in 55% of their rounds going into this game, and they only planted twice that game, so only a third of their attacks. Got to pump those numbers up, really. But seriously, Beast Coast love their plants, and you talked about not getting aggressive, not contesting. Well, they basically allowed Beast Coast to get that win condition, and think of, I would say, kind of the most impressive setup that I saw to try and counter the plants. It was the castle barricades and the Goyos. Beast Coast still found ways around them. ITB's only success was that command center bomb site on the 2nd floor, where they were able to just outgun Beast Coast when they went in for that execute. So, going on to Bank, where the attack, if you're able to get a really good roam clear down, has a very easy time. ITB, it's not just that they should get aggressive and try and contest that entry. They need to if they want to have success on that Bank defensive side. But of course, they are starting the attack, which didn't exactly go off them on Nighthaven, did it?
Yeah, very much so. ITB not the greatest attacking team. Look, the only glimmer of hope for them is, Bank. It's their map pick, and it's been all right for them in the past. It is their least banned map, so in theory, their highest preference, but they did lose it to G2, particularly.
Close games and win or lose.
Yeah. I mean, they lost to a team called FBC in the Malta Cyber Series. I personally don't know who that is. I'm sure the European fans will know them, but...
I think, was that...
I mean, it's a bit of a red flag when you're losing to a team that's not even in like the tier 1 circuit.
Was that? I think that might have been the Rogue roster before they got picked up by Fnatic.
Was it?
Because Jigsaw's tag going into the stage was .fbc instead of .fnc.
Well, we are getting into the second map here. Bank will be the battleground and the last stand for Into the Breach. Have a look at that social vote. It looks like Beast Coast may be running away with this one, but if there's any glimmer of hope for Into the Breach, it's that Beast Coast have not won Bank the last 6 times they played it. There is a 6-game lose streak on this map. If Beast Coast can break that, well then that means that they're keeping themselves alive in this major and knocking out the home team.
And for Beast Coast, keep in mind, talk about 6-game losing streaks, talk about so many map losing streaks, because this org has never had teams in contention for titles. The best stage we got out of Beast Coast, in my mind, was like stage 1 of 2022, where they got 5th and still weren't able to qualify for the Charlotte Major. Since then, it has been misstep after misstep, coming close again in stage 1 of 2023, then another misstep in 2022, but now they've got a formula. They've got veteran experience that is working.
That's very much so. It's a great point. Right? Both of these teams as organizations...
They're fighting for the club.
Yeah, they are debuts. They're debutantes to the major, to the international stage. Neither Beast Coast nor Into the Breach have ever played at a major like this before. But of course, Beast Coast, as you said, 4 veterans, Hot and Cold, Gunner, Gavin, and Spirits have all played at these events before. Whereas ITB, you're realistically just looking at Kendrew, and the rest of them much more young up-and-comers. You do have some young players on both of these teams, like 19-year-old Creeds, 19-year-old Diffuser as well. A lot of raw talent up and coming, and this could be a huge stage for a lot of these Beast Coast players that were let go of their previous rosters, and now, in the case of Hot and Cold in particular, have actually outlasted their former teammates here at the Major and could go even deeper.
Could go very deep. Also, Gunner, even though the Sonics for a long time were the highest performing NA team, still never won anything, still lacking that major trophy. Diffuser, as you said, also new entry. Spirits, a journeyman player going from top teams to the middle teams for the majority of his career, out of Pro League entirely. Beast Coast, not only as an org, want to make the deepest run they can, but these players who have had so much potential. Gavini even as well.
Don't forget about the guy that was on Dark Zero for quite some time.
Exactly. The rookie they tried to bet on and unfortunately lost faith in after Stage 2. Fighting for quite a bit, and on Bank, they won't win it. They won't even make main stage, but they'll at least keep that run alive. Starting on the defense are Beast Coast. I've already talked about... I just noticed something. I've already talked about how they are very, very strong in the defense. And I said that when Beast Coast last played Bank, it was like a completely different team. They had no strats. Well, one thing that was very, very synonymous with Beast Coast defense that game was Vigil, Boss G ACOG, ran by Spirits, and what do you know? It somehow made a reappearance here.
Cheeky Boss G ACOG has really come into popularity. We've seen a lot of it at this stage, for better or for worse. But at the moment, it seems like our attention should be focused up a little bit here on Tunnel, where Kenny on the Montaigne has tried to poke and prod at this server position. But a good read from Beast Coast and good early use of a gas from Hot and Cold. In fact, 2 gases. I mean, that is some
that's
late...
a little concerning.
Yeah, it is a lot of late round util chewed up, but if it does allow Beast Coast to reposition and be prepared, then that could be quite good. There is information here on Azza, thanks to that bulletproof camera that the defense has got.
It's just such a huge win, that smoke utility, because there's no C4s. And it's not like, I mean, you can, of course, keep control of the hatch, and if Beast Coast can either keep control of that, you know, small office hatch around open area or retake it later on in the round, then it's not as big of an issue. But with all that utility used right now, Hot and Cold even repositioning, getting aggressive. One gun behind Kendra at the moment. Final smoke canister threatened by Hot and Cold. We are running out of plant denial utility rapidly in the early round for Beast Coast. And there it is, detonated. No more smokes to get that lineup from Deep Gold or the Red Hallway.
He's going to forfeit as well. I do feel like that is a little bit early. As you said, losing a lot of plant denial utility, but perhaps the plan is not plant denial. Spirits does find a kill with that Boss G ACOG on a Creed. It's likely a spawn peek from outside, perhaps a player rotating towards Dirt. And Hot and Cold, however, is traded as Noah and Kenny start to make their move. Have a look at this. No more smokes, no more presence on the site. And it does allow an aggressive play here. Diffuser up above, but he's about to find himself head-to-head with a Monty. That's a fight you're never going to win, especially not with Noah coming in to support. All up to Spirits now. He had a stylish Boss G kill, but in a 1v4, he's not likely to find much more. He can't even find a single kill. Big from Noah, and a great start from ITB on Bank.
A great start indeed. Just, oh, yep, I was about to say, Kenny dropping the who's smoke in chat. And to be fair, how much utility was extracted? Look at Beast Coast operator lineup that round. It is meant to deny map control, contest the roam. Or, in all fairness, that's a sensible strategy. But look at what was actually on the site. Only smoke canisters. That was it. No C4s. No Goyos. No mirror windows as well either, if I remember correctly. So, really nothing for ITB to worry about. They can just push into the site, go for a plan if they want to, especially because the actual manpower on the site was very lacking as well. So ITB making a good read, but Beast Coast, that setup had a gaping flaw that was only taped over with 3 toxic canisters.
Yeah, not a good read from Beast Coast, not a good start here on Bank, a map that they do historically struggle on. But of course ITB are the ones that need to fire up now, so I'm glad that we're seeing a little bit of energy out of them, because very much on the first map it was Beast Coast that were perhaps disproportionately energized. Let's be honest, like a 7-2, you really don't need to go as nuts as they were.
I went to talk to the desk as the BDS game was going on, and they said, "Can you tell Gunner to stop yelling?" And I was like, because you thought it was Gunner too, and I was like, actually funny you mentioned that. That's Fett the coach.
Yeah. Well, Gunner usually is a bit of a vocal one though for Beast Coast.
He's more vocal before game. Like I said, singing, yelling. Mostly singing.
Well, ITB are really looking to pump up the pressure this time around. We've got Lion, we've got Sense Glaz.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
What kind of an executor's cooked up here?
They've got that pre-placed. It is an open area defense, as you can see. We see a lot of, I feel like, these set plays on the CEO bomb site, either with rappel rushes or Monty plays up main stairs. But here, where are those ROU projectors going to go? That's what I'm curious about. Maybe around beepers, you throw open the ROU to allow you to run behind the desk. There is a warden on the board, unfortunately, so wherever if Beast Coast figure out where that execute is coming from or figure out that Ascends is on the board, with Kenny using the LMG, if they hear that sound, they will be able to realize that Ascends is on the board. Gunner with the rotate, caught out by Azur. Not killed, though. Azur very strong when he entered the attacking side, so look to this player to get active in the early round.
I like that. Oh, here we go. Some smokes going in. Is this going to enable the jump from Noah? Indeed it does.
Nice,
Spots out
I
one
love
player
this.
and takes down Hot and Cold. Good trade, though. Spraying through the smoke. Gavini on the ward and the perfect operator for it. However, he wasn't able to save his teammate. Beast Coast recomposing. ITB don't get any map control as a result of that push. All they get is a kill onto that player in Cafeteria. Now that does potentially succeed map control, but with Azur going down to Spirits here, it's going very poorly. Almost an opportunity as well to refrag onto Spirits. The nade goes out and he is traded back again. Perhaps a possibility to find an opening here for ITB.
Perhaps is the key word there that is still doing a lot of heavy lifting for the remainder of this round. Kendrew has those ROUs and Creeds has those flashbangs. So getting into the site, there's a very real possibility, don't get me wrong. But the perhaps is likely really only with Diffuser inside of Tellers right now. If Creeds can work his way down square, use the flashbang and get the kill, we've got the 2v2, and then you can use those ROUs to get into the site, and that's going to make Beast Coast in a very difficult spot, only really relying on that C4.
Good flash. Oh, they're double teaming him. This is nice.
Position gave away.
Yeah, he does. Not only by the barbed wire, but the beepers itself. Just a facet of the map. Another flash goes in. I like the way that ITB are looking to support each other, but they don't have nearly enough information to make this work. Player spotted, but Diffuser gets the better of Kenny. Creed's now in a 1v3. ITB might have fired up in the first round, but it's not looking so hot here in the second. Beast Coast recomposed. Diffuser finds both of the final kills and looking extremely confident, extremely chill. Not at all worried about that. Is he getting a warning from the admin there? Is that what that was?
No, I think it was a tactical timeout. As you can see, ITB hitting the pause button. I want to talk about that 2v2 actually, 2v3, excuse me, between Kendrew and Creeds. So I imagine it's probably going to be something similar to what Kangoo Kenny is talking about, which is the coordination from ITB in the past couple games, past couple maps in this series has really not entirely been there, and I think it's exemplified by Kendrew and Creeds. They have the flashbangs, right? They're sending them in. I like the overall idea, but then Kendrew stops because there's barbed wire and beepers. Okay, you don't want to go immediately after that because it's going to telegraph your play. But then Creeds uses both flashbangs, and Kenny's not in a position to capitalize off them. So by the time he takes the fight with Diffuser, he's taking a raw 1v1. That's it. Diffuser has the advantage. He's holding the angle on land. You can react in time and gets the kill. I think the communication between the overall team is not really there right now. And when ITB's strength is not one player taking over the lobby, but the team as a whole operating efficiently, and you're not communicating and coordinating properly, that's the death of the system right there. That's the death of the team. And sure, they've got one round, but it was off of a Beast Coast strategy that gave ITB a very easy read.
So what is Kangoo Kenny going to be talking to ITB about now? That tactical timeout was called very early on this map, right? 2 rounds in. You almost never see a tactical timeout called that early.
It's very proactive, and I think it is, like I just said, I think probably talking about that, they're not communicating, they're not coordinating effectively, they're on different pages, that flashbangs and the 2v2 or the 2v3 that I just mentioned, but also another big example, on that roam clear, we see Noah hop in. I really like that individual play, by the way. I think that's really nice, but we don't see anybody taking the control after that. They're very concerned. They still back off, and then Diffuser obviously winning the fight. Maybe another raw 1v1 given over there. I think just players on ITB on different pages, even though the overall idea is good.
Yeah, what's more, there was a warden on the board there. I'm surprised that it was Noah run on the glass. I'm surprised that he even found 1 kill while there was a warden up. ITB, I mean, you gotta commit now. You gotta double down on that tactical timeout, because if you lose on the back of that, I'd be very surprised, because I had decently high hopes for this team. I think that they've already kind of struggled to live up to expectations, and they've struggled to bounce back from that 7-0 loss yesterday. And they're on a bit of a loss streak at the moment. I mean, the first game they had, they played SSG. Great, 7-4.
It was a really good game, too.
Really great game. They looked really solid. They looked like, okay, maybe these guys are the real deal. Maybe they weren't just here as a little bit of a guest when Virtus Pro and Wolves have dropped off. Maybe they are actually capable of competing at the top level. Then we saw them lose to Bleed. We saw them lose to M80, 7-0, and we're seeing them really struggle here.
Look at what I mean, by the way. Azur's on Monty going for a main lobby push, and the ex-Kairos go on Kanto wall before he's actually checked that lone off his position. It's not super common, but teams will put Evil Eyes there to shock the ex-Kairos, but I guess they're just sending it on in.
Oh, Kenny is? Yeah, and he's dead. So
where's the support?
I would love to know what the intention was there from ITB, but a huge risk goes extremely severely punished. And now Azza and Noah must try and pick up the pieces. Azza does find it down, but I like this. A bit of a retreat there from Gunner. He doesn't want to overstay his welcome. Noah has been able to pick up this diffuser. Man, what a messy round. Looks like Beast Coast are actually deciding to fall back. They got Spirits downstairs below with the Solus scanner. There's also plenty of plant denial on site that Evil Eye will thankfully be dispatched with. But I think that going for a plant here is going to be nigh impossible, especially in such a numbers disadvantage.
It's surely not going to happen. I mean, Noah probably has a gunfight win here. Yup sees the head, so he can get that kill. But look, everyone from Beast Coast has fallen down. They have a C4, they have the Solus. They can bait it completely. They've even got Evil Eyes in all likelihood on site too, so...
You really should not lose this.
No, you shouldn't.
If you're Beast Coast.
Borderline unwinnable.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
But they do have the site. And it makes it so tempting, doesn't it? To just try and go for something, good impact.
This is the only spot he can
EMP.
plant, by the way. This is the only spot he can plant.
Somewhat safe to plant, but is it safe enough? A C4 enabled, but it doesn't land. Eventually it does. Thankfully, as it was low enough HP for that detonation to get the kill, and now Noah is in an unwinnable position. He has to try and duel both of these players through the floor. He doesn't even find the first one. Beautiful teamwork from Beast Coast. The impact to open the hole in the floor, the C4 to be flung up through it. And, well, ITB are looking completely stumped.
Right after the tactical timeout, we still see communication seemingly not there from ITB. I mean, look at how quiet everybody is going into this round. Kenny, the IGL, not talking. Really nobody seemingly on the team talking, save for maybe Oscar at the moment.
Is anyone talking right now?
I don't know. Nobody's talking.
Not a single player on ITB. Okay, here we go. Man, just not nearly vocal enough. Where is the leadership to try and get these guys back into it? What was that play, though?
Well, that's what I was going to talk about. So we have a couple things.
Well,
and so I get the Evil Eye in Lone Office is not exactly a super common thing, but if this is your map pick and you're going for a main lobby play, you have to open Kanto to make the Monty pushing up main stairs great. That's honestly something you probably should at least check for on the off chance it's there. And sure, the initial ex-Kairos go, they get zapped, that's fine. But once they get zapped, Azur's in main lobby. And either he doesn't hear it, and the ex-Kairos gets sent because he doesn't hear it and doesn't comment, or he does see it and still doesn't comment. Either way, there was a huge gap there left that ended up burning almost all the ex-Kairos, and then they just commit to the repellent anyway, which you talked about. The Ying repels on in, the Monty's pushed up the stairs, but there's nobody actually dealing with the players in sight, so they can just swing out, kill him, back off. And that's diffuser dropped.
Yeah.
No
Player
control,
deficit,
no comms.
Diffuser dropped, yeah.
Attackers
It's grim. Like, this is not the ITB that we've seen during the EUL. This is not the ITB that we've seen so far. Not the one that beat Space Station. They've just been completely rattled. I don't know when that started. Did that start yesterday when they were 7-0'd by M80? Or perhaps it started when they choked a loss to Bleed, 5-7. Or maybe they were kicking themselves thinking, why are we losing to this team that's from a much more minor region? Why are we choking 8-7s that we really could have pushed into overtime? Or 7-5, sorry, that could be pushing into overtime.
Stay sharp.
We need to see a bit of leadership, and we need to see them start to really step up. I like that. It's a funny little detail there. And Vulcan kind of say, hang on.
Are you kidding me?
What is going on here? Amidst the chaos, ITB are not watching their flanks.
Honestly, that's inexcusable. We can see Creed's taking the line on Marble Stairs. That is a position he constantly plays on bank for ITB. And he's on the staircase. He's always down there at a minute 45, and he's let Diffuser slip by. And now potentially winning a 1v1 with the Monty, at least they get the trade, but Valkyrie's got away with everything in the first half of the round.
Yeah, and Kenny's now a bit low on HP. That gets chunked away again, but Spirits does die. to that Vulcan canister. A bit of an error there from Beast Coast, and one that ITB will be very thankful for, as it does mean they have the lead. But that Monty is a lick of damage away from dying. ITB do have a chance here, thanks to Spirits dying to that Vulcan canister. But they need to make good on it, and it would take very little for them to fall in this round.
This is a great correction by Beast Coast. They've gone back to the site heavy hold, right? They've got the Goyos, the mirror windows, the wardens for the smokes. I will say losing Spirits and losing those toxic canisters and blue stairs is going to hurt you. ITB can get into position to move in, but all they've got is Noah on those hard breach charges. Because of the loss in the Hibana, you had to be very selective with what you open up. So I'm not exactly sure what the breach situation is at the moment, if they can get in, if they can't get in. And there's still the Vulcan packs on the site that they're just now detonating. The C4 prepped in gold. It's a 3v4, but Beast Coast have the answer to win it.
This may be too late from ITB. As you said, the Vulcan canisters detonating. These will be a fire for the next 20-odd seconds. But there's no gases. There's only one C4 on hot and cold, and he's going to have to leg it a really long distance.
They've only got the hard breach charge opening up that wall. If Kenny wants to gun for the plant, he's either going to vault in or walk in that single door.
Desperate now for ITB. Creed has to go big on his backstab, but Noah's gone down. Kenny completely eliminated. All up to Creed's on his backstab now. He's found his first, but two more. Cannot go begging. He can't even find the second. Hot and cold is all hot today. Beast Coast. They're insurmountable. They will never give up. And it seems like ITB have breathed their last breath.
It certainly seems that way. Only 4 rounds in. The life is completely gone from ITB. Again, nobody talking right now. Nobody game planning. Nobody trying to figure out the solutions. Kendra almost looking at a loss for words. And Fethy certainly the only one talking right now as we move into round 5. Losing that Hibana, like I mentioned. Of course, it's an egregious operator to lose early on, but Creed's had Marble Stairs control. He was around that position. Maybe he got caught on a timing. Maybe he moves upstairs, gets some intel, moves away, and Diffuser just runs up at the exact same time. Unlucky. But Creed is supposed to play Marble Stairs for that being one of those reasons, to see that nobody retakes open area, to make sure he's watching the flank. And then that fails and your Hibana dies, and all you've got is the hard breach charges, and you still commit to a server execute when all you can get is a vault hole in the wall with Goyos on site, with C4s in red.
5 seconds remaining.
It's very disappointing to see from ITV. It's very disappointing.
It's not a great look, and it's just terrifying to think that we're going to have a Manchester Major and potentially no Brits on the main bloody stage. Like, this is the British team. You've got everyone... well, 4 out of 5 players on this roster are British, and we have an odd Brit here or there on M80, an NA team, on Dark Zero,
one and a half
another
Brits.
NA team. Like, really, that means...
You know what's even worse? Right now, the only guy showing up for ITB right now, I don't remember Noah's nationality, but he's Swedish. He's got another kill, got her going for the hop out. But the best player on ITB right now, the past 2 maps, is Noah, not even British.
Player.
Exactly,
Yeah.
the Swedish player. 17 kills right now. He's having a good day. We can say that. He's not getting impactless frags. He is making stuff happen in round, especially on the defensive side on Nighthaven. Right here, he's been doing a good job trying to open things up when things are looking grim for ITV. And they've been given an opening here. Gunner hops out the window. I think a little too early on. He just wants to go for the 1-for-1, but now you lose that C4. Only hot and cold now with that secondary utility. And ITB have a way in.
Good info for the Monty. Doesn't want to push too aggressive. He is going to continue to chase this player away. Monty rework certainly makes him a lot more dangerous. He is good. 3 big kills for ITB, exactly what they've been looking for. Completely switch up of strategy, going for this roam clear. Instead of committing to some kind of cheesy attempt at a rapid push onto site. Hang on, what is that? What an angle from Azza. This is exactly what they needed. Diffuser in a 1 versus 4. ITB might finally be able to breathe a sigh of relief. Oscar gets the final kill. Better time to fire up now, but really it doesn't look like excitement. It looks like relief on their faces. They know how down in the dumps they have been. That could be the first building block of many needed to keep these guys alive.
That's the concern with me with Beast Coast in that round, is that are they going to give ITB a way back in? Here's what we can say, though. You know what? They didn't scream. They weren't yelling. The comms are flowing. Kenny is talking. He is actually talking, clearly game planning what to do in this next round. So with that win, ITB looking like they're actually starting to problem solve. They're actually going to start thinking of ideas. And honestly, I got to highlight a little bit, I think Gunnar making an unnecessary play, overheating a little bit. We've seen ITB really struggle to problem solve in the face of these Beast Coast attacks, looking lethargic, looking unenergetic, and he hops out the window, and a lot of teams are checking the CEO jump out for the first 45 seconds to a minute in case that happens. Noah hops out. Beast Coast, I don't think, needed to make that play because they're defending open area, they're holding the top floor. You want as many people, 3 people on that top floor if you can, 1 in Trump, 1 inside a CEO, 1 inside a janitor. Now you lose that, you let the Monty go up main. You let somebody hop in the window. They have an advantage to clear that out. A bit of a mistake that's allowed ITB away back in.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
One last chance now for ITB on their attack to come away with a little bit of success. Even is the best that they can hope for, which is still, I think, a bit of a loss, a bit of a red flag. On their map pick, on Bank, which is one of the more attacker-sided of the maps in the pool.
It's a must-win for the mental, too.
Yeah. I mean, they lose here. I don't see them come back from it.
I don't either. I mean, we've talked about their woes in the attack, so maybe, they bounce back on those defenses. We see Creeds maybe power up a little bit more as that kind of defensive player that ITB like to rely on to get aggressive in those early rounds. Noah as well, still maintaining a good individual performance. So you have workable pieces there, and ultimately, on the attacking side, it's more important to have that communication and coordination flowing. It's still important on both sides, but that's a good find. Kenny trying to hunt down that Yokai. A little bit difficult, but not out of range, so we'll find it. That is a really, really nice find from ITB early on. And now he can take control of that. He can... I guess he can stun the defense. I've never actually...
You can actually deny the counter defuse. You can clutch around.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. But Gunnar says, hey, steal my Yokai. I'm going to steal your Azza. Big kill. Oh, almost finds a second one. Gunnar is just running amok downstairs underneath the bomb site. Surprised it's been unaccounted for, but Spirits is coming to support as well. We might be able to 2-time this guy.
Oh, no.
Gavin's coming to support, but who is that? Trapped in open area. Yeah, Oscar is in a real lick of trouble at the moment. Caught between quite a few awkward positions, and Spirits takes him down. ITB looked like they had a great start to the round. They found the first kill. They hacked a Yokai. They had seemingly a solid setup, and then Beast Coast got active on that defense once again.
Oh, all right. Kendra, unfortunately, trying to hit a gap. Doesn't clear the shield, sees the player top marble, but now it's all on to Creeds, unfortunately, Dev. I think he gets this one.
If he's lucky. Oh, he's got the Yokai.
Stunned.
Yeah, I mean, this is not pretty, man. Like, how have ITB gone from looking so solid in the EU League and having some decent wins at the Major thus far to whatever this is? At this point, Fett's got plenty of energy, but Hot and Cold and the boys barely need to fire up. Like, this is just so staple for them. It's just round after round, the same old story. ITB cannot get themselves into it, and just the pure look on their faces, it's dismay.
It definitely looks like dismay. One thing to talk about in that round, I mentioned that Azure, really good attacking side entry for ITB. He was actually, I think, plus 17 inside of the EU League, or plus 18, something like that. He got 1 entry kill on that half. 1 singular entry kill, and it was immediately traded back. Actually, a bit of an unfortunate timing. I feel like this is just kind of, this play was insult to injury. We see Kendrew hack that Yokai, then move it up main stairs, perfectly fine. But then as he moves it up main stairs, that's when Gunnar rotates under and trades out Azure. Like, brutal timing. ITB are being given no favors in this matchup when they're already underperforming, already low energy, not really communicating all that well. And then after that, Oscar's trapped inside of Marble. 3 players were around there, and then Beast Coast get another kill, and they're like, all right, Spirits, that one's yours. Just hold the angle, see if he peeks up, and
I'm just continuing with good comms. Like, every time Beast Coast has a bit of information, oh, this guy in open area, he tried to cut me off. Okay, I'll get active on him.
Yep.
I'm not going to get too active. I'm not going to go swing him, but you just wait for him to move, and Beast Coast always have an answer. You want to hear a real damning stat, Carter?
I feel like we'd almost be rude at that point. We've been very unkind to ITB so far. Should we, though?
Yes,
okay.
We should. In the last 3 maps that ITB have played, they have won 4 rounds.
Oh.
A combined 4 rounds. 1.3 rounds per map.
It's brutal, man. It's really, really brutal. And it's a shame because I really enjoy this roster. I think everyone on this roster. I played a lot of ranked with Creeds throughout this stage.
You're tight like that.
Yeah, I've talked to Kendrew. He's a really nice guy. I think this roster has a lot of potential. Noah especially improving so much from last year. All right, hot and cold. Bit awkward indeed, but this is the time for ITB to bounce back. Okay. We've got Creeds on his Solus roam. This is something that Beast Coast can predict, but something that Creeds feels really, really confident on. So if ITB can maybe regain that momentum by giving a lot of resources, pooling a lot of resources into Creeds on this roam, I think ITB not only have a way back into the game, but a way back into rebuilding that momentum.
Enemy located. Basement.
Let's go down to the basement for this defense of ITB. The first round of their defense. They have a good read here onto where this push is coming from. Kenny's trying to deal some damage onto this Osa, but Diffuser is continuing to march on forward. A drone as well to support him up on his left. And he's got almost the angle to take down that player, reinforcing that wall. Thankfully for ITB, they are just able to reinforce that up. Also very ambitious sprint across from Kenny.
Very ambitious. Diffuser with a good position holding this line in garage. We can actually see there's no explosives aside from that C4, which you're going to save for the post plant. So he will likely be able to survive quite long in this position. Gunner finding a bit of a gap, but I believe Creeds has hurt him, surely.
Oh, this has been awkward timing now. Oh, he's dropped downstairs. And how does Gunner win that?
Shut up. Get
Kenny,
out of here.
You need to be winning that. And now the side presence has been completely ripped out from underneath ITB. Creeds dropping back to side, finds nothing. Azza left with it all to do. Very, very slim chances. Never should Beast Coast be allowed to get away with what they have just done. It's been a daylight robbery here in Bank. Azza can't even find a single kill. Beast Coast in disbelief at how breezy this game has been.
You know the most annoying part? I think Gunner overcooked there again. Like, I don't think he needed to drop that hatch. He's finding a gap.
It doesn't matter because these guys are just winning everything.
But that's what I'm getting to, which is I don't think he needed to drop that hatch. He finds a gap. Obviously, we know that ITB are aware of it. We see Creeds there. That's also a common position, I think, that ITB will play when they're defending that middle floor. But Gunner walks in, thinks he's escaped, but odds are somebody's probably going to watch that hatch, especially since it was opened up. And then he wins the fight anyway. He literally hip-fire headshots Kendrew with a DMR on the flick. And as you said, they basically get a flawless round anyway. They do get a flawless round anyway. 5v2. I mean, what are ITB to do at that point? What are they supposed to do right now? How do you get back in? I would be demoralized.
You know what's worse is that we have had the tactical timeout already taken by ITB.
Kenny's helpless.
2 rounds into the game, and what did it get them? Nothing. They lost the following round. And I don't know what Kangaroo Kenny said during that timeout. He looked pretty active. Like he's
a very good coach.
He speaks with his hands as well, so you can kind of see what he's saying. But man, like it meant nothing. Where is the leadership been on this team? Like, I don't claim to know these guys that well, but of course we're talking about a lot of young up-and-coming players, and Kendrew, who's been in the scene forever. Like, he is in theory this leadership figure that needs to be directing the team. Every time we see him, he looks in utter dismay, and the rest of the team just look defeated.
That's what I'm curious about too, because I mean, Kenny, a lot of the players have praised Kendrew as this very strong leadership figure, big brother for the team, and like you said, the comms, especially when they're losing, aren't there. Unfortunately, the performances for ITB as well, not really there. Azure has bounced back a little bit, now 5-5, but it's not been meaningful.
Yeah, and also, can I just say how quick, 40 seconds into the game, this entire roam game around open area from ITB has been dismantled by a single Montaigne walking with no support, simply just into the room and scaring off the only defender that was playing there.
And actually something... I want to talk about that Montaigne, actually, because think about how they banned that Monty on Nighthaven on Beast Coast pick. Yeah. But now they banned the Deimos here, which I think is a sensible ban, but the Deimos had little to no impact on Beast Coast attacking success. In fact, 2 times, it was the first pick. What was that?
Was that a C4 tossed up through the red hatch and somehow managed to destroy?
Oh my god. Okay.
I mean, he's lucky they didn't take his life.
Okay, I'll give ITB that. That was a very nice idea. And hot and cold, unsupported again.
How is a Monty dying in a single blast to a shotgun like that?
Beast Coast are starting to make unforced errors.
Yeah,
they're giving ITB's ways back into this game.
One of the first unforced errors we've seen from Beast Coast. However, a good setup now from them as they look to try and pressure this player in blue stairs. A flash goes out, well timed with the EMP, but Noah finds a kill while blind. Oh. The second not to be, but still massive value out of his position, and it might be enough to get ITB across the line.
I think it absolutely will be. We've only got a minute left. We've still got Vulcan packs on the site, the toxic canisters. Azure, sure, might have used his C4 to destroy utility. He doesn't have it for the post, but there's so much utility for ITB actually on the site. I'm curious how much work Gunnar has done shocking these Vulcan packs, so we'll see how much that is. But if they execute with 30 seconds left, as long as Oscar's got those lineups, that's 30 seconds of denial for the plant. Beast Coast will have to adapt in all likelihood.
Look at that, 3 Vulcan canisters. 3 Vulcan canisters and 2 Evil Eyes, 2 bubbles staring them down. Gavini goes down to that bubble indeed. It is the end of the road for Beast Coast in this round. ITB finally found a leg to stand on. Spirits in a 1v2. Maybe it's winnable. He's found the first of 3 needed. There's information on his position as well. As he goes on forward, he's getting pinged out by that Evil Eye. Desperate. Don't overpeak here. Don't give away this chance, Oscar. Kenny's low HP. I think Spirit's about to walk straight into the SMG-11 of Oscar. Much needed. Could it be too late? Perhaps for ITB. But every comeback starts somewhere, and that's exactly what Kangaroo Kenny is telling the team right now. Put a fire underneath their asses.
That is absolutely where a comeback can start. That's what I want to hit on, because you almost foreshadow it. You said, well, you did foreshadow it. The Monty, by himself, completes the roam clear in 45 seconds. And then the Monty, by himself, dies to the player at top server with the shotgun. And Beast Coast only go 1-for-1 after that. You can recover that round if you lose that Monty, but then take down the server player without losing a body. But given the low time, getting a 1-for-1 there is an absolute loss.
Noah found 2 kills on that Warden in
Exactly.
Blue Stairs.
Noah found 2 kills, and then Beast Coast had done no work shocking the Vulcan packs inside of the site. So they have to speed up the play.
There was a twitch, by the way. They had a twitch that whole round. How'd they not clear any of those?
I'm not sure what happened with Gunner's shock drones, really, because you're bringing the twitch for those exact Vulcan packs.
Exactly.
And so they then run through the site. They're taken down by the crossfires. It was a good round for ITV, but Beast Coast, same with Gunner's hop out earlier. They're making plays they don't need to make, or making mistakes that are giving ITB ways to win rounds.
Yeah, uncharacteristic. Beast Coast do need to be careful here. I still have a lot of faith in them, but yeah, especially with how strong they started on their very first attack and how strong their attacks were on Nighthaven. But let's be honest, I was very impressed. They were very patient, very objective focused. They were very in sync. And it was what led them to quite a dominant attack, set of attacks on Nighthaven. Now moving on to Bank, like 2 rounds away from knocking out ITB from the tournament and staying alive to fight another day where they can try and qualify tomorrow for the main stage. Everyone would agree it'd be pretty ambitious for Beast Coast to aim for main stage, but certainly not impossible. We've seen players like Hot and Cold and Gunner there before.
They're used to the stage. You know, Gavini obviously used to the main stage as well, but Spirits, it's been a long time since he's been on a main stage. I think since actually I think the Berlin Major maybe, because I know XSET were
Was he on XSET at that point?
Yeah, he was on XSET. Damn. He was actually on M80 through SI23, and then he was dropped after that, if I recall correctly.
Oh, wow.
So
good memory, mate.
What can I say? I really am quite something. Everyone on this team has actually been on a main stage at some point in their career, except Diffuser. But then again, Spirits was 2 years ago.
I think we're seeing that experience showing, though. Even though it has been a hot minute, like you compare that to ITB, and yeah, Kendra, he's a major not major, Pro League champion from way back in 2019. But yeah, he's played on main stage in front of 1,000
Beat Hot and Cold.
Yeah, very true. But of course, the rest of this ITB roster far less experienced.
Far less experience, definitely. To talk about the round, actually, is what we see going on. 1:40 has already passed, and Beast Coast aiming for a main stairs push with that Monty, like we saw ITV do earlier, like we see a lot of teams do inside of Rainbow Six. One of the key bits of control you need to have is this player right here. Oh, I like this from Spirits, but the player drops on front of him. That's a good reaction.
Oscar, good for 2, perhaps. The impact doesn't deal nearly enough damage. And he is put down.
That's a good trade,
support there from Beast Coast. Now, Spirits going down is a little bit sketchy, but I think overall, Beast Coast should be happy with that trade.
I'm not sure, though. You lose the Malusi, he's placed all utility. The Capitao is now gone. I think the big thing, though, to build off your point, Beast Coast can move up main stairs now, but there's goo mines in their way. There's 2 players watching it. And aside from that, now they've lost Diffuser.
Yeah, they have indeed. Hot and Cold being harassed. He is trapped now as well. There's a goo mine that prevents him from marching on forward. Gavini does find one from the window position, but it's really up to him and Gunner, who's gone directly into sight. Can't land enough shots. Eventually does finish off Creeds. A C4 finds nothing. Maybe it is winnable for Beast Coast after all, as they have redeemed themselves. Noah, though, holds the 40, finds a double. ITB now in a 1v1. It's Azza v Gunner to try and stave off not just match but series point, but Gunner's got a good flash. Running away is Azza. Gunner 11-4, he has been on fire all day,
close.
but it is up to a young Gunner to put him down, and he does! This is what comebacks are made of, and this is exactly what the Brits need to keep their chances of playing in front of their home crowd alive.
And Azure might win the 1v1, but again, it's Noah keeping ITB in the race, winning that fight with the player moving around Banana, but then peeking around the Monty. Again, hot and cold, caught by himself. The Beast Coast have been so aggressive with this Monty, but hot and cold these past 2 rounds has constantly found himself in positions where he's by himself, cut off. And unfortunately, I see the play that Spirits wants to go for, right? He wants to open up that hole. But given what ITB see, that's such a nice move from Oscar to impact it open, catch him off guard. And in that isolated instance, that's such a good trade. You take down the Capitals, execute utility, you get the advantage, you waste time. And sure, Beast Coast can move up the stairs, but with the Goo Mine and the Legion already playing main stairs to counter that exact push, ITB come out the better in the early ground. And where Beast Coast almost bailed himself out, ITB just a bit better on the overall structure in that round.
Very marginally, though. It didn't take much. It comes down to a 1 versus 1. Yeah, oh, Beast Coast really brought it back into the realm of possibility with that repel in from Gunner. I mean, what a big game he has had. We've always known that Gunner is a bit of a gunner. We've always known that he has so much potential, but like you said before, like, he never realized the championship with Sonics.
Never did, and is also... He's always been a player that has been really, really good, but unfortunately with some very obvious flaws. For example, that hop out on the defense, he can sometimes make plays he doesn't need to. Yeah. Dies in the 5v5s, overcooks a little bit.
He's a high-octane player. That's what you expect.
It is what you expect, and he's the best and the worst of that. Creeds, this is the kind of play I want to see.
This is a trade.
This is absolutely a trade.
Oh, this is a strange standoff.
Hot Cold's like, after you?
He can't afford to go aim down sights. He'll lose his life, so he has to try and get close, but well played there. Kreese does go down to, believe it or not, Gunner, who came in to support. I believe that was off the rappel onto ATM, so well played in the end. I guess worthwhile for ITB as it delayed a lot of time, but of course Creed's now his util is gone, and he's been a far cry from the superstar that he was promised by our British colleagues.
4-10 right now, but I like to see that ITB are trying to make plays like that. I mentioned that the CEO hop-out can sometimes be a little risky, but he's got the Solus there to inform what Diffuser's doing, see if he's on his drone, and make it a little bit more informed than Gunner hopping out the window with that Mira. He goes 1 for 1, but he's disrupted Beast Coast attacks, and ITB are trying to take the initiative. They're not rolling over and taking it like they were in previous matchups, just being asleep at the wheel. They're at least starting to cause problems, but the vertical control has almost entirely been given away. There's just one player on this top floor, and if Hot and Cold actually has support, maybe they could do something about it, but he drops down. So ITB now holding the site. Beast Coast have a minute 15 seconds to use that verticality, try to convert it into an execute. But will the site hold be strong for ITB again? With Goo Mines and C4's dev, I think it could be.
Especially because time is very much on ITB's side. Not a lot of vertical pressure onto the site yet. They're still looking to clear tellers and archives, which is a lot easier said than done. I mean, that in itself takes a huge amount of time. I think that Beast Coast may be running out.
I think they might. The one thing that maybe Beast Coast could use are those flashbangs. But specifically, if Azur's in that position, if they try to go for, say, a play, I was about to say, a good nitro, but if they go for a plant through beepers, Azur's meant to counter this exact position, so any flashbangs used here might be nullified.
Well, Hot and Cold is actually going to look to try and make a play through admin, but he needs his wall to be opened, potentially by the buck above, but no, Gavini has run away and has no skeleton keys left regardless. He's likely to be vulnerable, but he just goes straight on down. He's lost the first
Azur's not watching
him out. Looks for a second and gets it! Beast Coast continue their form! How do they steal this round? There was no world where they should have had it! But they ripped the rug out from underneath into the breach! Match points now firmly in the hands of North America!
I was so confused about where that diffuser was going, but Beast Coast, ironically, given their very plant-focused nature, they were winning that round on kills because they hopped the Monty into admin, as you mentioned, into small office, but it distracts them. Multiple ITB players rotating, but more importantly, Azur looking that way once he hears the Monty in that position where he's playing behind the desk on top of the hatch. You have to watch two things. One, the beepers double, and 2, the stock hatch. But when he hears that Monty, he looks. He's concerned about it, and as a result, Gavini can drop down and get both of those kills. A massive misdirection from Beast Coast to draw Azra's attention away, allow Gavini to get that pick and recover the momentum, but I think more importantly, stop the momentum building for ITB.
2 more rounds is what they need, but after a flip of a switch like that from Beast Coast, I don't have a lot of faith in ITB. Ever since the first map, it's just been slipping further and further away. We've seen brief moments of greatness from ITB, but as you said, it's often because the door was left ajar by Beast Coast. It just feels like this has been inevitable this whole game long.
It feels like it has been that way. And it's not that ITB are so bad a team that when there are gaps left in front of them, they can't exploit them. When Beast Coast have made mistakes, ITB have capitalized off of them. We will give them credit for that, and I will give them credit for that. When Beast Coast have made mistakes, ITB have realized them, and not only capitalized off them quickly, but done it very, very well. Think of that CEO round with that gunner hop out. But at the same time, it hasn't exactly been a game of IGL versus IGL, but Hot and Cold has been calling really good adaptations, that round in particular, to catch ITB off guard, whereas we haven't really seen that same problem solving, that initiative taken by ITB consistently from Kendrew's calling on the side of ITB, but really anybody. The comms have not been flowing across the board. This is not the fault for one team. ITB live and die by their system, and the system has kink after kink in the connections. 1 minute in, Hot and Cold back on this Monty, and I bet he's going to be really happy to find out there's nobody playing on top of server stairs. Look at this.
Quite like this, bit of a fuse, but that's C4. No, it's not a C4, it's Noah to come up. An impact on the floor above, he finds a double kill. The trade comes through eventually from Gunner, but damage has been done.
Noah back into it. I love the switch from ITB, putting Creeds on site and giving the solace to that 13-8 player, but also the player who has so consistently been making plays, who doesn't feel like that demoralization is affecting Noah. We see it in Creeds, Oscar, Azur, Kendrew, that quiet nature, kind of tucking in. Noah is there. He's talking at least, more than the others in the timeout, as much as a Swede can after all. But 13-9, he's got 2 big picks, cut down Gavini and Spirits, but Honkel moving his way on in. They're going to plant behind this Monty.
And it might work for it as well. Little bit of damage done, but nothing as of yet.
He's angling the Monty.
It seems like Beast Coast is going to be able to do it. Eventually, Gunner goes down, but the plan has been confirmed nonetheless. ITB on their last legs. They must make this retake work. But they do have the numbers. As Azza finishes off what was left of Gunner. It comes down to Diffuser, the newbie, the rookie. Look at all of them. Every single player from ITB funnels up the main stairs. And they trade all out. Up to Hot and Cold now to try and finish it right here, right now. But ITB are not done just yet. A good retake keeps this game alive.
A good retake, and Noah in the early round using that Solace to get the double kill as they open up the small office hatch. If that play from Noah doesn't happen, I don't think that retake ends up happening. But Hot and Cold makes another call. Beast Coast say, okay, let's push quickly. Let's move on in. We're in a 3v4. Let's speed up the pace to catch ITB off guard. And they move in, and he's trying to angle that Monty. You can see he's trying to compensate for the evil eye to the left, but if he angles himself too far from the left, the player in Red Hall could very well take the Monty down and Gunner behind him. He's able to block it a little bit, but not consistently. If Gunner stays alive there, I think we have a winnable round for Beast Coast, because you've got a gun protecting the Monty and Diffuser up above. But once he falls, it's a very winnable retake for ITB. Very well played by that Maestro in that round to put Gunner to such low HP and make that round very winnable, but also Noah still keeping ITB competitive.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I don't think it would have been a possible retake. The fact that Beast Coast could even get that plant down speaks volumes about how many holes there seemingly are in ITB's defenses for Beast Coast to exploit. One last round here in regulation. Will we go to overtime? It's the only chance at keeping this majority British roster alive here in the tournament. ITB, it's been such a troublesome major for them. Like, yeah, they started great, took down Space Station pretty convincingly. Ever since then, it's been devastation after devastation. And getting 7-0'd by M80 yesterday has now put them in this elimination matchup against Beast Coast, where they have to come through.
But for ITB, 4 rounds in a row now. Just to talk about this, the early rounds have been really good. Noah, Oscar, and Creeds all showing up in those early rounds, and Beast Coast were so strong in the entries, winning the vast majority of them and converting every single opening engagement they won on Nighthaven. And ITB, the worst entry team at Manchester Major, finally starting to get opening picks and not converting them perfectly, but converting them in the past 4 rounds, 3 out of 4. They're looking a lot better. They're getting win conditions. They're getting ways into these rounds. And if they can do it again, a 5th round in a row on round 12, overtime is very, very possible. But who's going to do it? Is it going to be Noah playing the Wamai, likely holding a power position instead of roaming, or will it be Azur on this Oryx down below? Who's going to be the player for ITB that steps up and makes this a 5v4?
Well, it's been Noah all day long. 13-9. He's the only player on his team to have hit double digits thus far.
He doesn't know.
Azur is right around the corner, but he misses his shots critically against Diffuser. And now he's forced to retreat, tail between his legs.
Stuck down below, and they know that this Oryx is going to be down there. They've got to be worried about these hatches, of course, that Azur could flank up later. But they know there's only 4 players around the site right now. Connor put to very low HP. ITB trying to contest this north rappel very aggressively. And on site, ITB are holding all the positions they need to. They've got 2 players over by the spiral side, 2 players over by square, any of which that I just mentioned could contest those north rappel and be the culprit that put Gunnar to low HP. So it is a man advantage on the site, and Beast Coast have good utility with those Bs and those EE1Ds, but Azur going for the run out. Nobody's there.
Bad information, a bad play, and it does give Beast Coast an inkling of where one of these players is. It might open the door for them to look for some pressure on site. Beast Coast, they've played so passively this round, waiting for ITB to make the first move, but ITB has given up nothing.
That's the thing. They have no control right now. Something needs to give, and that's Noah. He's gone.
Hot and cold to find the opening pick onto the most deadly player on ITB. Creeds has to go big here, a big pre-fire. He finds it, but traded back. Leaves the Americans in the advantage. Trades again. As Kenny looks to take matters into his own hands, he will have to do a whole lot more than that. As Azur makes his way back to site, it is Azur all alone. We've seen him in this position before, and he gifted his team a 1 versus 2, but in this post-plant position, I think Beast Coast have got the site down on lock. The North Americans are indeed holding a tea party, and I don't think that we will see any home team in Manchester. Beast Coast knock ITB out of the major.
In very strong fashion for Beast Coast as well. Bank looking a little weaker than Nighthaven, but it's their opponent's pick. It's where we expect them to look a little less practiced. After all, since they started revamping their roster, this is the first time they've played Bank on game day. Sure, they played against Wildcard, but they literally had no strats. This was the first time with the new system. And they look good. Maybe not great, but they certainly look good. Whereas ITB, the majority Manchester team, they start pulling things together on Bank, but it was far too little, far too late. The momentum had been lost, and they were trying to claw back in the game and playing not to lose by the end of it.
Not near enough for the Brits. They had so much hype coming into this event. 2nd place in Europe, but Beast Coast took 1st seed in North America for a damn good reason. And they are showing that while they are a very new concoction, there's some pretty damn good ingredients in the players of that roster. Some serious pedigree that they have. Gunnar in particular having a phenomenal game. Hot and cold leading his boys to victory. A huge win for Beast Coast.
Gunnar and Gavini individually this series. Gunnar definitely being the top performer, but Gavini tying him in kills on the first map too on Nighthaven. These are the 2 players to be watching on this roster. Of course, Diffuser has his moments. Spirit's having some good moments as well. But for me, this is Hot and Cold leading. His 2 best tools in his arsenal are Gunnar, are Gavini right now inside of the Manchester Major. Of course, they haven't made main stage just yet. They've survived and will play a best of 3 tomorrow against opponent to be determined to make that main stage. And B, I believe, yes, they could be one of our only North American representatives to make it, depending on what happens in the other games.
Of course. So we do have another North American team playing very shortly, but let's continue focusing on Beast Coast for a second. And I really want to credit Fettuccini. Like, that was some amazing energy from him. Everyone could funny hear it. He really kept the vibes up, and I think that's really where Beast Coast are going to sit from now on. They had a pretty gut-wrenching loss against FaZe just yesterday, and if they had got that, we'd be talking very differently about this team. Now, of course, just 1 match away from qualifying for the main stage here in Manchester at their major debut. What a gift that would be.
What a gift it would, and unfortunately, somebody had to lose in this matchup. Somebody had to go home, and that means Beast Coast, who want to win that first trophy for this org, qualifying for their first ever major as this org since they've entered Siege. They need it. They want it. And ITB will have to wait a whole nother stage to try to get that second opportunity to see if they can. And look, Gunnar Gavini in this particular game are leading the charge for Beast Coast. The two highlight players when it comes to getting those kills. The individual performance, really fantastic. But I want to give my commendations to Noah here, because he was heavily criticized last year as one of the weakest links on TT9, which was overall a very weak roster. But in the past calendar year, he has really, really improved his game, stepped up, and even though ITB lost 2-0, unequivocally can say he was having an impact, not just baiting, not in 1vx's. Those are 23 high-impact frags right there. Fortunately, still in the loss, but Noah, I think, has had a really good stage so far, and if ITB can improve for the next, I think he'll be a key part of their success.
There's no doubt that this is a gut-wrenching loss for ITB, a majority British roster, the only majority British roster that has now failed to qualify to play in front of the British fans here in Manchester. But of course, we still have some British players left to play in the tournament, and we also have another North American roster. Funnily enough, they will indeed be one and the same. It's M80 playing Bleed up next, so bear with us. We'll be here in a moment.